Here we are discussing qualitative research design and its types, and one of its type is grounded theory. So what is grounded theory? If you want to develop a theory and you have to collect data to define the roots of the theory, we say it is grounded theory. It is used to generate theory from the individual level, which could then be generalized or applied in the nursing practice. So if you want to develop a theory or if you want to prove a theory, we use this grounded theory research design. Here the research problem is to develop a new theory, that is inductive, or test or prove existing theory, that is by deductive reasoning. Samples we use till our data is saturated. So when we get enough data, we stop sampling. So this is how we do for the qualitative research. Usually the sampling is done until the data saturation happens. So data saturation happens means like when you are getting the same answer from the sample, it means this data is saturated. Okay, data collection method. Here we use observation, formal and informal interviewing, audio tape records, field notes. So these are all the different types of data collection tools we use in the grounded theory. Data analysis is done by constant comparison with the current data, and the data are reviewed and interpreted. So data analysis, we do a constant comparison with the current data. So grounded theory, the problem is a theory. It can be a new theory or an old theory, you are proving it. Samples till data is saturated, you will collect the samples, and collection is done by observation, interviewing method, and you can record your interview and field notes can be taken. And analysis by constant comparison, and the data is reviewed and interpreted. Historical research. So this is another type of qualitative research. It is a systematic collection of objective evaluation of data related to past occurrence. So if you want to do any research which you want to compare the past with the present, then you do a historical research. This includes to test hypotheses concerning causes, effect or trends of those events that help to explain present events or anticipate the future. So if you want to test any hypothesis which has been happened before and you want to compare with the present or to anticipate any future events, you do a historical research. The purpose of the historical research, you will make the people aware of what has happened in the past. That is the main purpose of the historical research. If you want to understand the people, what has happened in the past, we do a historical research. So this generally helps to understand or learn from failures. So what has happened in the past, if any failures or successes, you can make the new generation understand from those failures and success. To learn how things were done in the past to find applicability in the present. So things which has happened in the past, how they did in the past, and you will compare it with the present. Especially if you want to take it as an example, the trend, like trend in dressing, so which has happened in the past and in the future, if you want to compare, you can do it with the historical research. Assist in prediction. If you want to do analysis something related to future prediction, of course we need to do historical research to compare the past, present and the future. To test hypothesis concerns relationships or trends, as I said, can be a dress or it can be educational method or tool what we used in the past and how is it now, the teacher's attitude in the past and in the future or in the current. So what is the student's attitude, past, current and in the future. So these kind of things or trends or relationships, if you want to do a test, the best method is historical research. To understand current educational practice and policies more fully. So if you want to understand the current practice, you can compare with the past and you can say that how much it is updated and what are all the ways we have been improved and what are all the ways it has created a problem. So all these things, historical research have been useful. The steps involved in research. Here when you do an historical research, how the steps or the process happens. First you need to define your problem. This is the first step of all kind of research. That is what with the historical research also. So you will define your problem, and of course we do review of literature. Here you have to find relevant resources of historical research. You have to locate the resources and you have to identify it, and you have to get the past evidences, summarizing and evaluating the information obtained from the resources. So once you get information, you have to summarize and evaluate whether it is a right one or a right information, because past data when you collect, you have to make sure whether things are valid and reliable. Presenting and interpreting this information. So what you have to do, you have to set a problem, then you will locate resources, that is review of literature you do, and you will identify the data from the past, summarize and evaluate the data for the information, right information, and you will present and interpret the information. What is the advantage here? There is no physical involvement. Only the researcher alone can do the complete research, because he doesn't need a sample or subjects or anyone. No danger of experimenter subject interaction. So there is no interaction happening between the researcher and the subject or the research participants. So you can completely dominate and you can do it in a unique way. Documents are located by the researcher, data is gathered and conclusions are drawn. So everything is done by the researcher. It's like a one-man show. The researcher has to do everything. So of course it is a burden. Yes, the researcher has to involve and do everything, which is a bit disadvantage because it's going to be a difficult one. The researcher can neither manipulate nor control any of the variables. Here the variables the researcher cannot control or manipulate. The researcher cannot affect the events of the best. So he cannot bring out something new. He has to say whatever has happened before. So there is nothing he can bring it as a best. Like he cannot manipulate or he cannot bring something new. It can't collect data with instruments. So you cannot collect these data with an instrument. Of course you have to take out whatever has been and you have to put it in a words. It excessively relies on the secondary data. Generally, historical research or the past evidence when you collect, you will get in secondary data only. Very rarely you will get the primary data or people who lived in the past. Yes, so it is very difficult to get a primary data. So mostly it relies on the secondary data. These are all the disadvantages of historical research. The next type of qualitative research design is case study. So this is nowadays very famous. It's not only in nursing, of course, in pharmaceuticals, everywhere in medical field, the case study research is very, very frequently used. This design have evolved over the past few years as a useful tool for investigating trends and scientific discipline. This is what I said, it is very, very popular nowadays. This method is used in qualitative as well as quantitative. So when we discuss quantitative also, you have seen us studying case study method. Here also we can use case study as a qualitative research design. It is an exploration of a bounded system or a case over time. So you will study a case over time in depth by collecting data and informations, and you will give a rich qualitative research. What is the purpose here? Gaining insights into the little known problem. So what you know very little, when you do a case study, you will understand it more better than the before. So if you want to do an in-depth knowledge, if you want to gain in-depth knowledge, the case study method is the best. That is why we use case study in nursing when you do a practical. So when you study a case, you will understand about the disease condition and the patient problem, everything completely. Providing background data for the broader studies. So if you want to give a background data for a big studies, case study we can add up with the big studies to develop explanation for certain studies. So if you want to develop explanation or evidence, the case study methods are useful. Gives rich descriptive anecdotes. Of course, all qualitative analysis or qualitative research methodology, the best advantage of the qualitative research is gives a rich description of data. There are two types of case study method. One is single case study. You will take only one case and you will study it for months or years. Or multiple cases study. You can select one problem and you can put people under the same problem and same category and you can do a multiple cases study. What is the advantage? It stimulates insight. It improves your knowledge, in-depth knowledge, suggests direction for future research, provides rich text information. Advantage of a qualitative research, well suited for studying a process over time. So if you want to study a process step by step, so case studies are the best method. What is the disadvantage? As you are studying single case or single case study, what is the problem? You cannot generalize it completely. So if you are studying about one case, then it cannot be generalized. Investigators have no fixed guidelines. Here there is no fixed guidelines. Sometimes it becomes a problem. There will be a lot of bias. So disadvantage is bias. Not suitable for scientific cause and effects. If you want to find what is the cause and what is the effect of it, sometimes this is not a good choice of research design. So we have seen in qualitative research design what is qualitative research design and what are the types of qualitative research design. So ethnography, phenomenology, grounded theory, historical research, case study. Okay, thank you.